Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Today we'll present another great meeting and program with Kurt Darrow, Chairman, President, and CEO of Lazy Boy, Inc. At this time, I'd like to ask Pat Sheehan to come to the podium to deliver a reflection, and then have Kate Nelson lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Good afternoon. This weekend, my wife and I went to Chicago to visit our daughters, and while we were there, we had the good fortune of visiting the Chicago History Museum, and they had a really neat Martin Luther King Jr. exhibit there. So I highly recommend it if anybody goes, but it was neat to kind of go through the life of MLK and certainly relive the civil rights era of the 1960s. I was just a young boy at the time, but in 1963, I think we all remember that the March on Washington happened. It was in August of '63, and it kind of strikes a personal chord with me because my father participated in that march. So when I relive that history, it really is kind of a neat memory for me. The second thing I wanted to mention, I think all of you know that this month, February, is Black History Month in the U.S., and thirdly, today, by coincidence, happens to be February 11th, which is the eve of the birthday of Abraham Lincoln. And if what I read this morning is correct, I think tomorrow will be the 210th anniversary of his birth. So the theme of my invocation today is going to be kind of taken from those three touch points. And so let's take a moment to pray. Dear God, thank you for Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Jackie Robinson, Rosa Parks, and countless others around our country that have had the courage to advocate for the rights of African Americans. As Rotarians and members of this community, please give us the resolve and courage to stand up to promote goodwill and peace for all persons. Thank you for the safe arrival of our guest, Kurt Darrow. We look forward to Kurt's message. Please bless our fellowship today and bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies in your service. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pat and Kate. As we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Walker Funeral Homes, this month's sponsor. Got late arrivals today, I see, so as soon as you're all comfortable, I'll continue with the program. Greeter Sean Finn, will you please go to the mic to welcome our visiting Rotarians?
President Dick, we have two visiting Rotarians today. Visiting Rotarians, if you could please stand as I read your name and remain standing until President Dick welcomes you. We have with us today Ronnie Lukenbill from Cincinnati and Jeff Anderson from Petoskey Surprise. President Dick, these are our visiting Rotarians today.
Welcome today. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for attending. Now, if anyone has a guest they would like to take to the floor mic to introduce, we would ask you to do that at this time.
President Dick, I'd like to introduce Matt Simpson, Sales and Marketing Director for Darrow and Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries of Toledo.
Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Andrew McKnight.
Andrew, nice to have you here.
Everyone would like to introduce Hannah Vasher from Signature Bank.
And welcome.
President Dick, I've made a habit of introducing Manuel Carrega every time he comes. Manuel's our exchange student with Rotary this year, going to St. Francis. And I should mention that Manuel is selling tickets for a raffle for the St. Francis Foundation, which funds tuition for those that need help.
Good to see you, Manuel. Glad you're here. And I had the good fortune to meet a gentleman walking in on his own today, Luke King, and he's back there from New York Life. And Luke, welcome back to the community and welcome to our meeting. Thanks for coming. I would now like to ask Shireen Murad to come to the floor mic for an announcement about an upcoming event.
I would just like to remind everybody about our February 27th happy hour with Epic and make sure that you come. It's Wednesday, February 27th, Wednesday at 5 p.m. We're going to be at Final Cut at Hollywood Casino, and this is a free event, so please come and sign up on the website at Rotary.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shireen. Now would be a great time to check into social media to let everyone know you're at the Rotary Club of Toledo meeting. Then I ask that you please silence your phone for the rest of the meeting so we can all enjoy our presentations. I want to remind new members especially about a new member orientation that will be on Thursday, February 21st from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at Stapleton Insurance, 7250 Cross Lake Court, hosted by Second Vice President Alex Dew. Alex, we appreciate that. So if you're a new member within the past year and you have not been to a new member orientation, you and your spouse or partner are invited to attend. It's a great way to meet other new Rotarians and learn a lot about Toledo Rotary. And on that subject, and following up on Shireen's announcement, the new member committee and the member engagement committee continue to do a great job with our membership. But I want you all to remember that new members and bringing members into Rotary is all of our responsibility. Whether it's somebody in your own organization, a relative, an old friend, a new acquaintance, if you know somebody who you think would be a great addition to our club, I invite you to share why you're a Rotarian with that person and then invite them to one of our Monday meetings or to one of our after-hours events so they can get to see what a great club this is. And if we can all step up and introduce somebody new as a new member to Rotary, we will soon not be the 10th largest in the world, but we'll move up several notches. So it's not just about the numbers, it's about bringing great people into our club to do great things. And I hope you all think about that in the weeks to come. I would now like to ask Debbie Monaghan to step forward so I can present to her a Paul Harris Fellow. It gives me great pleasure today to present a Paul Harris Fellow to Debbie Monaghan. The Paul Harris Fellowship is named for Paul Harris, who founded Rotary with 3 business associates in Chicago in 1905. The fellowship was established in his honor in 1957 to express appreciation for a contribution of $1,000 to the humanitarian and educational programs of the Rotary International Foundation. Those programs include an array of projects that save and invigorate the lives of people around the world and enhance international friendship and understanding. Foundation programs provide educational opportunities, food, potable water, health care, immunizations, and shelter for millions of persons. These activities are funded, implemented, and managed by Rotarians and Rotary clubs around the globe. Rotarians can also designate a Paul Harris Fellow to recognize a person whose life demonstrates a shared purpose with the objectives and mission of the Rotary International Foundation to build world understanding and peace. We move closer to a more peaceful world today as Debbie Monaghan becomes a Paul Harris Fellow for the 4th time. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate and recognize Debbie Monaghan for her generous contribution and commitment to service above self.
Thank you very much. Thank you, President Dick. As a former chairman and longtime Toledo Rotary Foundation board member, I would like to encourage my fellow Rotarians to give to our foundation. With our great service committees, the Foundation Advisory Board and the Foundation Board, I assure you that the process is in place so that every dollar donated to the foundation is wisely used, and that we've done our due diligence in researching the requests that are brought to us. You can be assured that the money is well and meaningfully spent. I encourage you all to support our Toledo Rotary Foundation. Thank you.
Congratulations, Debbie, on that, the fourth time. That's wonderful. This time I'd like to invite Kathy Michaelogic to the podium to introduce new member Drew Snell.
They make me do this. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege today to introduce Drew Snell as a new Toledo Rotarian. Drew was born and raised in the Toledo area. He went to St. Rose in Perrysburg as a child and is a 2004 graduate of St. Francis de Sales High School. He attended Denison University in Granville, Ohio for undergrad, where he was a senior captain of the squash team and a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Drew graduated from Denison in May of 2008. After graduation, he returned to Toledo and began to work in the financial services industry. He is a third-generation financial advisor working at Morgan Stanley and Levis Commons. He works on a 7-person team helping people manage their wealth and accomplish their financial objectives. Drew is a Series 7, 66, 9, and 10 certified, as well as carrying his life and health insurance and NMLS mortgage licenses. He is in the process of earning the CPWA designation and has now been in the business over 10 years. Outside of work, Drew enjoys all things sports, watching and participating. Drew is highly active with the Toledo Club Squash Program as a 4-time club champion, a committee member, and an active participant in the Winter League. He is a season ticket holder for University of Michigan football and basketball and is passionate about music, food, and travel. A little-known fact about Drew is that he is the winner of the infamous Burrell Cup for 4 consecutive years during his college career. Drew currently resides in Sylvania, with his lovely wife, Mary, and they are expecting their first child, a little boy, on Friday. Growing up in the area, Drew cares greatly about the city and is excited about the opportunity Rotary provides to give back, be more in tune with the city's progress, and to get to know the people around the city making it all happen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I'd like to invite past President Stacy Hammer to the podium to introduce new member Kate Nelson.
Okay, I think these are new since the last time I was up here, so bear with me as we're all aging respectfully, right? So, thank you, President Dick, and fellow Rotarians, guests, and friends. It's my pleasure to introduce my friend Kate Nelson to Rotary. Kate Nelson is currently the marketing coordinator for V&A Risk Services. She's a graduate of the University of Toledo with a degree in communications. Her electric professional career began many years ago as an on-air radio personality and a news director for a few Toledo radio stations. She left that career to become a full-time mom while keeping her toe in the working world as a substitute teacher for Toledo Public Schools and Monroe County school systems, doing voice work and as a makeup artist. When her son started school, Kate became the business manager for Clinique Cosmetics before moving on to positions at IntelliShop, Tolson Enterprises, and now V&A. She's been involved with many community and school organizations in Bedford Township and a member of Cultivate the Community in Monroe County. Kate lives in Temperance, Michigan with her husband Andy and their 2 sons, Drew and Cade, and her crazy Labrador dog, who she claims to only tolerate, but we all know she secretly loves. In her free time, she loves watching sports with her boys, kickboxing, and building Legos. Please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Kate Nelson. Thank you.
Welcome, Drew and Kate. It's great to have you with our club. This time I'd like to ask Rotarian Joe Sharp to come to the podium to introduce today's speaker.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to introduce Kurt Darrow. He is the Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer of Lazy Boy Incorporated. Kurt is an out-of-the-box strategist and heralded by Wall Street as a turnaround specialist. He was the architect of the company's transformation from solely a chair manufacturer to one that manufactures and offers stylish furniture for every room in the home. Under Kurt's leadership, Lazy Boy became the most recognized brand in the furniture industry and is the largest reclining chair manufacturer worldwide. Kurt has held numerous prominent roles at the American Home Furnishings Alliance, the American Furniture Hall of Fame Foundation, currently serves as executive board member of the Anti-Defamation League's Furniture Division, is a member of the board of directors for CMS Energy Corporation, and the board and executive committee of the Business Leaders from Michigan. He also serves on the board of the ProMedica Board of Trustees, and in 2018, he was inducted into the American Home Furnishings Hall of Fame. He attended Adrian College, where he earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Business Administration, and then was awarded an honorary doctorate in 2009. Kurt is married to his wife, Renee, and they are active in their church and community. Please welcome Kurt.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here. Like our former speaker, you don't have a resume like that, like Hall of Fame and stuff, unless you're really, really old. So I'm glad to be here. Some of my teammates are here in the front row, which I appreciate them coming. Most of the things I'm going to talk about today, maybe I thought of, but they actually did, and that makes a big difference. And we will have some audience participation in this presentation. So we're going to start with, how many of you own a Lazy Boy product? Okay. And how many of you men in the room think you had any influence in getting that chair? And so my advice to particularly the younger people, your wife is going to win the argument about what you buy. So save your arguments for something more important, because you're going to lose anyhow, and just let her pick out your furniture and life will be better. So we'll talk a little bit about our company and some things you may know, some things you may not know. But it is a real pleasure to be here and to learn more about the Toledo Rotary Club. That it's one of the top 10 clubs in the world, which is quite an accomplishment. I kind of parallel that to the Toledo Art Museum, that everybody in the world thinks, how can Toledo have this fabulous art museum, and how can Toledo have this big Rotary Club? Well, it's a credit to all of you who give your time and talents to do that, so it really is an honor. So we do have lots of ties to Toledo. I can't get this to move. Can you forward it from back there? No, you really did forward it. We need to go back about 10 slides, so there we go. So you probably have all read, but we have kind of a special relationship with Toledo, both me personally, and I went to Adrian College. I've lived in Monroe. We sold our Monroe Hospital to ProMedica. I'm on the ProMedica board. I play golf down here. So there's not really a barrier to anything else, but how many of you are Ohio State fans? Yeah. And whenever I come down here to a ProMedica meeting, they call me a Yankee because I root for Michigan, which has become a basketball school. So I just want everybody to make sure you understand the ground rules. All right, let's go back. So our company was founded 92 years ago by two cousins. And they had a long struggle to figure out what they were going to do. And they started in 1927. They made tank seats during the war. And it wasn't until 1961 that they invented the world-famous recliner. And it just so happened at that time there was another incredible invention called TVs. And somehow the two have gone together really well for a long, long time. This is a picture of our headquarters. The one on the left is the old one that was there for 86 years. And the one on the right is the new one that's been there 4 years. And we had big Toledo influence on our headquarters. The collaborative group was our architect and design. And Rudolph Libby built the headquarters, which we're extremely pleased with. But it also paints a picture of the headquarters on the left is what Lazy Boy used to be known for, and the headquarters on the right is the direction we're heading in the future. And so, you know, women are the most confident shoppers in the world, particularly when things they shop for every week. So whether it's clothing, jewelry, food, everything, they know what they want, they know where they'll shop, they know the brands, but they only shop for furniture once every 8 or 9 years. And so what they really want, they don't want just to buy a sofa, they want a beautifully decorated room. And they want help to do that because they're not as comfortable as they are in all their other purchases. And so this is what we can do today. So we do everything in that room except the fireplace. But that is what your family wants to relax in. That's what they want to be part of, and the woman would much rather have a beautifully decorated room than buying a sofa. Correct, ladies? Correct. Okay. So this is our portfolio of companies today and the different channels we play in, and we've gotten deep into the internet channel, which we'll talk about a little bit. But in addition to Lazy Boy, we have 5 or 6 other brands that sell different types of furniture, including bedroom and dining room. And so we have a portfolio of companies attacking the different channels with their unique persona. The brand itself is a great blessing and the most recognized name in the furniture industry today. The only other companies that have anywhere close to the brand recognition are those in the bedding business, like Sealy and Tempur-Pedic. But the old-time furniture brands like Broyhill, Bassett, some of those, they've fallen on some pretty difficult times and don't have the same brand recognition as Lazy Boy. And what we have done over the last decade and a half is we have turned our domestic manufacturing into a asset rather than a liability. You know, in the early 2000s, there was a great rush to go to China and buy all the product there, which most of the bedroom and dining room furniture coming in today is from Asia. But we asked ourselves, what could we do different than China? What could we beat them at? And the two things we came up with was mass customization and speed to market. So if you go into a Lazy Boy store today, there's 200 some styles in there and 1,000 fabrics and leathers, and we can get that to you in 4 weeks or less, 98% of the time. And that is not something that, customization and speed is not something that we worry about from Asia. So we've perfected lean manufacturing, we've perfected quality controls, and we've kind of built an oasis around our footprint, because if somebody had to come into the U.S. today and build 8 million square feet of manufacturing, it would be a lot more expensive than our facilities that have been here a long, long time. This is our newest building. It's our Innovation Center in Dayton, Tennessee. It It's the only kind of its nature in the whole furniture business, and we build it right across the street from our largest plant in Tennessee because we think innovation is great, but if you can't make it economically, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. So there's a lot of collaboration going on back and forth between our two teams. Proud to have the majority of all the Lazy Boy furniture made in America, and that is still important to a lot of people. And the fact that we have 10,000 employees worldwide, but about 8,000 of them are here in the U.S. And so we are spread out geographically with our manufacturing facilities and our regional distribution centers for our retail business. We continue to up the style quotient for our products and our services. And the Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries, which there's 355 in North America, does about half of our business. And the customer gets a more complete shopping experience on the brand. The people are more knowledgeable about the product, and it's something we've put a lot of emphasis on the last decade. The company owns about 155 of the 355 stores, and we continue to add to our portfolio over the last few years. And this is just a little more about how we do things. So what we like about owning the stores is we sell it at wholesale to ourselves, and then we sell it at retail, and we make a double margin. And that's important to us because the furniture industry is very competitive, and it's kind of difficult to make money. So here is what you could expect when you come into a store and buy from us. But this lady tells the story much better than I could, so I'm going to let her speak for herself.
We're going to decorate this room using only a gorgeous selection of Lazy Boy furniture. But let's just skip to the end. Oh, and did I tell you, Lazy Boy has designers who will come to your house. For free. We can pause it now. I'm good.
So, the ladies love this, and when somebody says, I'll come to your home for free, and I'll look at your room, and I'll give you some ideas how you can make it better, the men actually hate this, because if their special one would just go to the store and buy it, they'd spend about $1,500. If we get in your home, they'll spend between $4,000 and $5,000, and that's what we like. But the big win there is we have a much more satisfied customer, and the odds of her shopping with us again are very, very high, and our opportunity to do another room. We also sell internationally in, I think, 65 countries today, and reclining furniture is becoming pretty well accepted worldwide. We have a big position in the UK, China, and Australia, New Zealand, and small positions in other parts. And in most of the cases around the world, we have partners that we have teamed with to get the Lazy Boy message out there. We do have some other trade brands. England is a manufacturer of upholstery with a great delivery story. They're in Tazewell, Tennessee, and they've been part of the Lazy Boy companies for about 20 years. And then our case goods business, our wood business, is done through Kincaid, Hammery, and American Drew. And they help us finish off the rooms, and they sell to the trade as well. So together, a different set of customers, both dealers and consumers, and product lines that the Lazy Boy brand does not have. And one of the dual challenges of Lazy Boy, the fact that it is so well known, but it is also singularly attached to the recliner. And we sell a lot more of the other stuff today than we do that old, ugly, brown recliner. And we're pretty proud of that, because that wasn't going to get us very far. And then recently, in this summer, I think in August, we closed on it. We made a big entry into selling directly online. Again, a different customer and a different channel that the Lazy Boy brand doesn't really play in. So we bought this company out of California called Joybird. They sell directly to the consumer online, and there was some advantages for both of us to partner up here. And I'll let you hear their story.
Craftsmanship is all about caring about the little details in what you do and being proud and be willing to stamp your name on something.
Creating a product in someone's home, knowing that it's going to be either during the good, the bad, and everything in between. And I think that's a very special thing to be part of.
It's wood and it's foam and it's fabric. The simplicity of the ingredients and what you're able to get out of it, I don't think there's another product that's out there that's like it.
Between the four of us, we complement each other really well. We're kind of opposite type of people.
So Alex and I mainly work on the sales, marketing, branding, customer experience side, while Josh and Chris work on the manufacturing, logistics, supply chain side.
We really felt like we could revolutionize the furniture by giving people more choices than they've ever had before.
Back in the days, you would go into a local butcher shop and they would know you by name, they would know your preferences, and you know, they'd make you feel warm and fuzzy and have that deep emotional connection with you. So that was our objective, like how do we translate that and bring that online?
The idea of Joy River is we want to give people a chance to express who they are through our furniture.
There were a lot of people that were out there selling it, and there were a lot of people out there that were making it, but there wasn't any that were doing both. That's our spot.
So the idea was that let's make the unscalable scalable.
And I think whenever we had started, there was so much pushback from everybody we talked to. They're like, come on, I'm not going to buy my sofa online. And we very much were like, yes, you will.
How do you sell such a high-ticket item, sight unseen, to someone just through a digital experience? That personally has always excited me, that challenge. And I mean, there's numerous ways we do that, but it's all about creating those connections.
So both Alex and Dre do a really good job of listening to customers. Sometimes that isn't always in the immediate short term a good thing.
We always say, what's the best thing to do? And it's all about the customer, and that's what guides us.
From inception, our challenge was always on the manufacturing supply chain side. We were always outselling what we could produce, which was a great problem to have, but still a problem that needed to be addressed.
Lazy Boy has a great reputation. They've been doing this for a long time. Everybody knows who they are, and everybody knows somebody who has Lazy Boy furniture.
When they first reached out to us, honestly, I was Lazy Boy, huh? What's that connection gonna be?
I don't think you could find on the outside of things two more polar opposite companies, and I think that's what's gonna be the most incredible part of it.
We went to go visit them, first their headquarters. I was like, wow, they're actually pretty cool. They were taking care of their people, you can tell. They just felt very progressive.
When I met them face to face and talked to Kurt and the rest of the executive team, you can just tell that they're good people. And at the end of the day, that's what life's about.
You don't become a company the size of Lazy Boy with the magnifying glass of a public operation and do it so well unless you have an absolute world-class organization.
I think whenever you look at where each company is strongest, it's a very natural fit, and it's not hard to see, hey, this great online company that makes this very modern mid-century style furniture that iterates super quickly with a real-class company with the supply chain and locations all around the world.
For me, it was never about the exit. It was about coming in every day and doing what it took to build the process, to build what these guys sold, to build the company into what it would be.
Beyond any strategy, beyond the growth, the numbers, the revenue, at the end of the day, it's an honor to have the privilege to enter someone's home and make their life better.
So this is an American story that why so many people want to come to this country. These guys were working for an office furniture company in LA, and they had this dream. And so they borrowed some money from family and mortgaged their houses, and they came up with $250,000. And in 4 years, they had a $50 million company. But they were tapped out then. And but it was very interesting. They have a plant in Tijuana, and at the time they thought it could only make about $50 million worth of furniture a year. So any month when they got too much sales and the plant was overloaded and stretching out their delivery dates, they just raised their prices, and the demand went away. And as soon as they caught up, they lowered them back down, and the demand came back in. We're going to try that at Lazy Boy for a while and see how that works. But they're great marketers. They have a vision for their company in a different style category. but they really need manufacturing help, and that's what we're world class at. Just an idea of the benefit of this. I had a vendor call me who we buy a lot of fabric from, and he said, well, I got a good news, bad news story. He said, I'm sure glad you bought them because you guys paid up their bills, and we're not worried about that anymore. But now I see they buy at your prices rather than their prices, and we don't like that well. But their biggest market is New York City, and they're sending furniture from Tijuana, individual sofas. So the time and about $300 of freight to get a sofa there. Next month, we'll be making that same sofa in Tennessee and getting it to the customer for about $80 and a lot faster. So this is going to be probably the fastest part of our growth plan here the next couple years, and we're excited to have made that. The other thing we're real proud of is we have been the official sponsor for Ronald McDonald houses for the last 10 years, including the one here in Toledo. And we, in the the lobbies and the common areas, we supply all the furniture in North America for every new Ronald McDonald house. And we have gotten our customers, our factories, everybody involved in raising that and having that cause. And I'm sure it's something we're going to stay with for a long, long time. So what has all this meant financially for our company? So this has been the last 5 years, our growth. Coming out of the recession, we had an operating margin of about 3%, and we just almost got it till 9%. And then there was tariffs and raw materials and everything else happening, so we took a little step back last year. But the average margin in the furniture industry is about 3 or 4%, and that wouldn't be very acceptable to our shareholders, so we've had to think about ways to outpace them. This is, again, what we've done with our cash the last 5 years. Invested a lot of it, returned a lot to shareholders, and try to be prudent students of our capital. This has been our stock price appreciation. I'm sure all of you bought it when the stock was 60 cents. Thankfully, I wasn't allowed to sell it, which was one of the best decisions ever happened to me. But we're continuing on a steady course there. And then you go back from the beginning of this slide where we had $200+ million in debt and $40 million worth of cash, and today we have $135 million worth of cash and no debt. And so we've got these Midwestern genes about being conservative, and we weren't always that way, but when you get to a point, which a lot of us did during a recession, and you almost run out of cash, you cherish it a little bit more than you used to and thinking it's always going to be there. So La-Z-Boy is well positioned for the future. We can finance just about anything we think is right. The customer is choosing to shop with us. We've had the last 7 or 8 quarters increases in same-store sales, which has been a challenge. We don't subscribe to the fact that retail is dead. We do agree that bad retail is dead, and unfortunately for the people working there, Sears deserves to die. I mean, they haven't really figured out how to get the customer satisfied, and if you do that long enough, they're going to go elsewhere, but we don't think that's the case with La-Z-Boy. So we're pretty bullish on the future. We wish the tariff challenge would get over. We wish a few other things, but I'm not going to start a political conversation here. But obviously, we're committed to the greater region here. We just built 3 years ago, a $70 million headquarters and put our stake in the ground that while everybody else is going south or doing something different, we're going to stay here in Michigan and try to be a big community supporter of everything that goes on. So that's our story. I tried to leave a few minutes for questions, and I'd be welcome to answer anything that might have been on your mind that I didn't cover. By the way, the reason I really can't talk that bad about Ohio State or Ohio in general is because about 25% of our employees are from Ohio. So just leave those questions to yourself. That'll be good. Yes, ma'am.
A question about IKEA and Pottery Barn. Talk about bad retailing being dead. Well, that product is what it is. They don't claim to be high quality. How does Lazy Boy compete? How do you manage that competition?
Great question. So our philosophy is that a brand or a product cannot appeal to a 20-year-old and a 65-year-old at the same time. They have different needs, different wants, different ideas, different financial situations. And so Lazy Boy has always gravitated to a slightly older and a slightly more affluent customer. The analogy I would use is a little bit like a car. When you first got your first car, you needed transportation. And as you moved in through the cycle of life, you did a little better, you wanted a little more gadgets. You did a little better, you wanted a little more quality. And when people get into their 40s, build their first home, they don't want IKEA furniture in it. And so people have a tendency to grade up their thought process of how they furnish their homes. Now, that's not to say IKEA worldwide is a tremendous company, but they service their niche, which is starting price points. And I don't know about any of you, but if I bought furniture you have to put together, it would stay in the box for a damn long time because, and it's all like the internet right now too, in the fact that you can buy stuff online and some of it's reasonable value and some of it's not. But our customers don't want it drop shipped to their porch. They want somebody to do white glove delivery. They want somebody to come in and set it up. They want somebody to take their furniture out and get rid of it. And you don't service North America overnight with one facility or 5 truck drivers. It's an expensive, capital-intensive process to build a nationwide distribution center, and that's one of the things Lazy Boy has. So when we talk about a younger customer, I'd just like to get a lot more 40-year-olds. And, I have a number of nieces and nephews in their 20s, and I know who pays for the furniture. It's not them. So we're in that niche. Pottery Barn is at a higher level than even Lazy Boy. They have a cachet that they've developed over the years. They also, most of their stores are in malls, and mall rents are really expensive. And now they're faced with most of the malls losing half of their shoppers and clients. And so it'll be interesting to see. There's been a lot of people come in and out of the furniture business over the years. I tell people that one of the reasons Lazy Boy is successful is that we've been in business, in the furniture business only, for 93 years. And the only advantage to that is we have made every mistake possible. We just don't make it a second time. And all the new people are making those mistakes that we used to make, and we are glad that they are. So that's how we look at those. Some more questions.
Thank you for your presentation and for all the great work you guys do in the community. With as long as you guys have been in business, I'm curious how the workforce has changed for you and what you guys are doing to prepare for continued changes in the next generation of millennial workforce and everything else.
So that's a very good question, and I'll give you both sides of it. So one of the reasons we build our new headquarters is because we're all in a talent war, and we're all trying to get the best and brightest. And our old headquarters was a first-class absolute dump. And young kids are not going to go there. In our new headquarters, there's open seating. You can sit anywhere you want. You have stand-up desks. We feed 550 people breakfast and lunch every day. We're sitting on a 130-acre site with a mile walking trail. A lot of amenities that they don't find, and because of that, we've been able to attract people from a broader point of view. On the other hand, we worry as things are going on. We've got numerous examples, but my team will really not allow me very often to interview young people anymore. Because when I sit down with them, ask them what they want 3 weeks vacation year one. They want to work from home, but only on Fridays. They want this and that. And so I end up telling them, so why don't we try this for a month? You work whenever you want, you do whatever you want, and I'll tell you at the end of the month what you're worth. I haven't had any takers on that yet. I'm just kind of waiting for the first. So it is a different challenge of folks, and they don't stay with this company as long as we were used to, but they have more mobility, they have more flexibility, they have more interest to see the world, and we're going to have to get used to that. But you cannot run the business the same way you were 15 years ago and expect to attract and engage the younger people in all seriousness.
You mentioned your activity and interest in the UK, and I'm interested in what your plan is for the UK, given their current situation in Brexit and so forth.
So the current situation, our activity is to hold our breath. We're not sure what was going to happen, and we are pretty much a distributor in the UK. We buy our product from our facility in Asia and sell it to a couple of major retailers there. So, but everywhere in the country right now, we've got issues. We've got issues in Canada they put a retaliatory tariff on things coming from the U.S., and there was already other tariffs, and then the currency difference. The poor customer in Canada right now is paying 20% more for the same furniture than they were 18 months ago. So the world is kind of upside down, and in every geographic place of the world you're looking at, you have to think about your strategy different. But we've stopped predicting what we think is going to happen, and one of the things we don't do, however, is we don't go all in on one country or one currency. We have a big cut and sew facility in Mexico, and we could make all of our product needs for our corporation there, but we keep about a third of it in Asia, just in case there would be something go wrong in Mexico and we couldn't get product and it would shut down our facility. So we have to take a balanced approach to where we place our bets. And, most U.S. companies, if they think about overseas expansion, the first couple of places they go are the U.K. and Australia, New Zealand. The advice we got, and I believe in it, if you can't make international expansion worth it in English-speaking countries, you better be careful going to other countries because you add that extra complexity. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kurt, for today's great program. To show our appreciation, our Toledo Rotary Club Foundation will make a donation in your name to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund. And we'd like to present you with this book, Historical Tales of Toledo.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Reminder, there is no meeting next Monday because of the observation of President's Day. Immediately following today's program, the Black Tie Affair Corps Committee is meeting upstairs in the Presque Isle Room. Drew and Kate, again, welcome to Rotary, and Kathy and Stacy, thank you for bringing these new members in. We do appreciate it. Now, I expected to see Chuck in a recliner back there, but I guess he's standing up.
They do have one. It's the Waffle House model. It's got a scale built into it. That's not a bad idea. You could if you put a scale in, then people could watch, and if the error message said one at a time, then you would know that it's time. Today's like a national holiday for people who like humor and liked Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen was born on this date in 1926. He had never done a comedy before his role in a 1980 film called Airplane, which led to a series of Naked Gun movies and a short-lived TV series called Police Squad. Here are some of the best of Leslie Nielsen. You can help me with this first one. In Airplane, where he played Dr. Rumack, Ted Stryker says, "Surely you can't be serious." Dr. Rumack says, "I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley." Well, there you go. The audience participation went well. And later on, Dr. Rumack says, "You better tell the captain we've got to land as soon as we can. This woman has to be gotten to a hospital." And the stewardess says, "A hospital? What is it?" Dr. Rumack says, "It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now." In Police Squad, he played Detective Frank Drebin. The bad guy says, "Who are you and how did you get in here?" Frank says, "I'm a locksmith and I'm a locksmith." Frank Drebin, we're sorry to bother you at a time like this, Mrs. Brubaker. We would have come earlier, but your husband wasn't dead then. In the Naked Gun movies, he again played Frank Drebin. "Wilma, I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat." Frank Drebin, "Now, Jane, can you tell us about the man you saw last night?" Jane answers, "He's Caucasian." Frank, "Caucasian?" Jane says, "Yeah, you know, a white guy, a mustache, about 6'3". Frank says, "That's an awfully big mustache." And among his famous sayings, and you should try and work these into the conversation when you get back to work this week. Here's 2 of them. "The truth hurts. Maybe not as much as jumping on a bicycle with a seat missing, but it hurts." And my personal favorite, "Like a midget at a urinal, I was going to have to stay on my toes."
Wow, thanks, Chuck. That concludes our meeting. Remember to be the inspiration and to serve others. We are adjourned. Thank you.